Liberalism is universalist in many senses, but let us that it believe that human species it believes in the unity of human species. That all human beings are united through something which is the same or similar in each and every one of them, and which is more important and more worthy than anything else. So there are a lot of differences among human beings, they come from different culture, they speak different languages, they have different skin colors, they're different heights, they have different genders. So these are all differences. But these differences, obviously nobody can deny those differences, but the differences are morally either irrelevant or secondary to the unity of or oneness of all human beings. So this is sort of a unity in difference scenario. And that unity among human species is what defines. So what gives the unity to human species is species, that unity also defines the moral worth of human beings. So that's why the unity is what defines their moral worth and not their differences. And their differences is either morally irrelevant. I mean, they might be practically important, but they're morally irrelevant, or even if they are morally relevant, they are subservient to this main guiding principle which defines their moral worth. Now, according to most liberals, that is, freedom is what defines freedom in as a capacity, but obviously that's a precondition, but freedom to say no, so that's a negative freedom, and then freedom to say yes to their own will. And obviously a lot of early liberals, and even today, think that reason is what bestows this freedom to human being anyway. So human beings are free in these three senses because they are rational beings. And according to some liberals, for example, Kant, this rationality and this capability for self-determination makes human being one community with God. Because God has this, God is pure rationality, and God is the defining characteristics of God is self-determination, and that's what humans share with God. So that's what gives humans moral worth. They are God-like creatures. Obviously, those liberals who don't believe in God anyway, they think human being is the God. And in fact, Feuerbach and others said that human being wrongly suppose that there was God outside, when that was just a projection of their own desires and their own potential onto some other being because of alienation and all those things. So that's what defines moral worth of human beings, and in that sense, liberalism believes in the unity of human beings, and in that sense, this is a universalist concept. So it doesn't distinguish or doesn't differentiate between human being as to this basic moral worth, and it regards all the differences as either morally irrelevant or morally secondary. Okay. In that sense, like Islam, Christianity, liberalism is an inclusive doctrine. Anyone can become a liberal just because they are from a certain race or skin or certain religion, won't exclude them, in principle anyway, from becoming a full-fledged liberal. So, for example, in the same way in which anybody can become a Christian or anybody become Muslim. So, in that sense, it's different from Judaism. You can become Jewish, but it's very hard. So, in that sense, or you can't become a German, or you can't become a Nazi, even if you wanted to. Yeah, or fascist. Fascist you can, but yeah. So, in this sense, liberalism is a universalist doctrine. But the exclusion and particularism makes inroads into liberalism not just at practical level, but at theoretical level, in spite of its universalism. In spite of its universalism. And there are various ways it can do, as it can do with any other universalist doctrine like Christianity or Islam. They are fully universalist, but even at the level of theory, particularism, legitimate or illegitimate particularisms become part and parcel of it. And it's important to understand those particularisms and how they coexist with apparent universalism. That's important to understand. One of the way particularism even at the theoretical level becomes legitimized in liberalism is through the concept of reason, for example. Now, if what gives us moral worth is our freedom, and freedom is defined as a capacity, as a negative freedom and positive freedom. But this freedom is related to reason. So it is our rational capacity which actually operationalizes our freedom. And although all human beings are potentially equally have this capacity to reason, different human beings, due to education and other factors, develop their reasons at different levels. So you had more education, you develop your rational capacities more, then even though morally we are equal, in actuality, even at the theoretical level, you have a hierarchy within even a liberal society among those who are rationally superior and those who are rationally less capable and all that. And this is operationalized and structured through the concept of merit. So you develop a hierarchy according to this meritocracy. And even though your supposed moral worth is the same, actual moral worth is imputed to those who are rationally more capable, because that rationality is the one which actually defines your moral worth in the first place. So that's why even at the theoretical level, and this particularism is compatible with the universalism, because in theory everybody can develop their rational capacities and jump up in the ladder. So through this hierarchy become part and parcel of a liberal society. And the hierarchy is part and parcel of Christian society and Islamic society as well, even though in Christianity and Islam the rationale is different, and the element through which that is run is different. And in a similar way, because rational capacity is what defines human beings, and their moral worth, and their capacity for freedom and to actualize freedom, it is also possible that you delegate certain people, human beings, to pre-human status based on the claim that their rational capacity is so weak that they are actually not human beings or not fully human beings. And then you can justify non-equal and even repressive and immoral and even barbaric treatment of of such supposedly less than human humans on that ground. So during the area during European colonialism and imperialism, even today. So this obviously in early colonialism through the genocide of and mass killing of Americans and Indians and New Zealanders and Australians, I mean indigenous people, was justified on this very basis. And even today, for example, massacres of Iraqis and Afghans and others is sometimes justified on the same basis, that they are not fully human, or they are humans in wolf's skin or something like that, as George Washington is supposed to have said about native Indians. So, for example, in 1783, George Washington compared Indians to wolves, native Indians to wolves. Saying that both being beasts of prey, though they differ in shape, and his policy of destroying total destruction of Indian settlements was based on these sentiments. So in a similar manner, the superiority or racial superiority of European men and increasingly women has been, and even today has been, justified even theoretically on the ground that they are rationally more superior, so they are more human in that sense. So in that way they are superior to other less humans or non-humans, for example. And this ground still exists, although it's hard to say these things today that happen openly, although there's no doubt that there's some sort of rationale there. So then you are not actually denying the unity of human beings, but you're saying that this is a human species, and some humans actually are the lower ladder of that species, and some are almost outside it. But there's always chance for at least some of them to climb back. That's the doctrine of merit, in a sense. I think we'll stop here because there's a lot more to talk about in not even, if not a lot, there's still some good bit of stuff which we can say about liberal universalism, but we'll just stop here and we'll continue it next time.